Hey guys, Kevin with Lifestyle Overland here, coming to you with another how-to video on solar charging capabilities for your travel vehicle. But before we get started, roll that intro. Solar technology has been growing by leaps and bounds over the past couple decades. With those advancements, portable solar options have become even more affordable, compact, and efficient, making them a great addition to almost any traveler's kit. Solar charging capabilities are an important part of an electrical system when you have multiple pieces of equipment that require a lot of power, especially when you plan to be stationary for long periods of time where the vehicle's alternator isn't working to replenish what is being consumed. While this topic can get technical very quickly, we're going to keep it as simple as possible and help you make the best decision about how you should set up your vehicle for solar charging capabilities. Before we dive into the details, we need to ask one question. Do you really need solar charging capabilities? If you live in a region that sees little sun, or if your camping puts you in thickly wooded terrain where direct sunlight is tough to find, then obviously you're not going to benefit from this investment as much as someone who lives in a sunny, more open region. If that's you, then you might consider investing more in your battery capacity for your vehicle first. That may mean a higher capacity battery, dual battery system, or perhaps even a dedicated lithium battery to give you an extra buffer for equipment during non-vehicle use. Even if you are camping in a sunny environment, don't pass up this important step in your upgrade process if you're already finding your current battery system is struggling to keep up with usage. Now, if you own a modern vehicle, your alternator is optimized for economy when it comes to providing charge to your factory systems. It doesn't offer much in the way of excess output for aftermarket accessories. To address this issue and maximize your vehicle's charging capabilities, you might consider a DC to DC charging unit, which boosts the output voltage from the factory system to ensure proper voltage and charge profile is applied to an auxiliary battery. Just keep in mind this isn't a safe method if you're only using the factory battery, since the sensitive electronics on the factory system might not play well with the boosted voltages from the DC to DC charger. To avoid damage and potentially void your warranty, only install a DC to DC charger on an isolated auxiliary battery. But enough about batteries for now. If you have more questions, then let us know down in the comments. Moving on. Solar panels are available in many shapes, sizes, and price ranges. There are three basic types of solar panels being used for portable power solutions. They are called monocrystalline, polycrystalline, and thin film technology, which is also known as amorphous. You can research the benefits of each of these panel types for hours on end, but let's just give you a quick rundown on the basic differences. Monocrystalline panels are the most expensive of the group due to the manufacturing process, which creates cells with individual cylindrical ingots of silicon. Since these offer the purest form of light gathering, it performs better in low light situations than polycrystalline cells, though not as well as thin film panels. These cells offer up to a 21.5% efficiency rating, which means the overall panel footprints are the smallest of the three types for the same amount of rated output. Polycrystalline panels use a slightly different manufacturing process, which brings the cost down, but also cuts into efficiency with cell ratings in the 13 to 16% range. Because of this trade-off, these panels tend to be slightly larger and don't perform as well in high heat or low light conditions when compared to the monocrystalline. Thin film panels are made from one of four different types of cells, the most popular being amorphous. These types of panels perform well in low light and are very thin and flexible. Their weakness is that with a 6 to 9% cell efficiency, they're going to require a lot larger footprint to produce the same amount of power as a mono or poly panel. However, the fact you can fold these into a very small footprint for travel makes them attractive when storage space is an issue. Unfortunately, these panels degrade in performance faster than other options. All three of these types of panels have been used for mobile power solutions for years, and each offers their own advantage and disadvantage. At the end of the day, you'll have to decide between cost, size, and efficiency in your application. Any solar panel you buy will require a controller to ensure a safe output voltage is being applied to the vehicle's battery system. There are three different types of controllers: simple 1 or 2 stage controllers, PWM or pulse width modulated, and MPPT or maximum power point tracking. The first controller type is extremely inefficient and should just be avoided. It's the most basic and outdated of the control technology on the market. The next two types, PWM and MPPT, will be your primary choices, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. Without diving too deep into the details of each controller, a basic rule of thumb is that a PWM controller is a solid, less expensive option for smaller charging systems under 400 watts with panels that output 20 volts or less. An MPPT controller is more efficient, though up to 10 times more expensive. Now, the expense is likely justified for use on larger solar arrays producing over 400 watts with panels that output 30 volts or more. The reason for this is that a PWM controller is simply a switch. It turns the circuit off and on, sometimes very quickly to net a specific charging voltage to the system based on its evaluation of the battery's state. If your solar panel input voltage is around 15 to 18 volts, then there isn't much loss as the controller only lets 12.9 to 14.4 volts pass through the battery. The MPPT is a more intelligent unit and can utilize excess voltage to increase the overall power, or wattage, being put into the system by reducing the input voltage and increasing the amperage. These types of controllers are mostly found in larger residential solar arrays where the panels are used for outputs between 30 and 60 volts. Again, the choice is yours on this selection. If you want to squeeze every last drop of power from your system and the price is no object, then an MPPT is a superior, more efficient controller. Though the PWM unit will most likely give you the performance you need for smaller setups using solar panels rated for 12 volt systems without wasting extra funds for marginal improvements. And now for the biggest question of all. What size system do I need? This is where things get very subjective to your usage requirements, geographical location, and types of batteries, etc. First, you need to make a few decisions. Are you a full-time nomad looking for a system that will allow you to remain indefinitely off-grid and power every single item on your vehicle? Or are you a weekend warrior with the occasional long trip looking for something to help offset your usage and only extend your stationary downtime by a couple of days? I'm not going to go into all the calculations needed to determine the right size panel array in this video. If that's something you'd like to see, then let us know in the comments. Until then, there are several sources and calculators out there to help with that process, but I will point out several pieces of information you're going to want to collect before walking through that process. First, you need to determine the total number of amps drawn by each device and an estimated duration for runtime when your vehicle is stationary. Keep in mind that some devices run in cycles, like fridges, and can vary in amperage draw depending on the compressor. You'll need to come up with the best estimate for the climate you live in or plan to travel through. Once you've established the total amp hours, you need to consider your total hours of daylight. Some areas can see 7 hours of optimal daylight, while others are substantially less. This can affect your necessary wattage if you have less time to collect power. Obviously, the time of year and weather can play a factor in this as well. The next step is to decide on a safety margin for your system. Some suggest using a system with up to 50% more wattage than your calculations require to help offset factors such as voltage drop from heat factors, controller inefficiencies, etc. This safety margin is best for those who have intentions of being stationary indefinitely. A 20 to 30% safety margin is probably the most used range for people looking to simply offset their usage and extend downtime. The choice is up to you. Now, to be honest, I haven't done a load calculation on my setup. That's primarily because we travel in a lot of different situations and run a lot of different loads depending on the time of year and location. I've also had several years of experience to learn what panels meet my needs in different circumstances. And since I know what works, I haven't really felt the need to pursue the math. Honestly, most people I've talked to about this subject do the same thing. They buy a 100 watt panel, and if it doesn't do the job, they buy another one. One final factor in your solar panel use that will really change how well it performs is whether or not you choose to mount them to your vehicle solidly or if you plan on keeping them portable. Each method has its advantages and disadvantages, but at the end of the day, we've ultimately determined that having a bit of both works best for us. In our travels, we've found that having a solidly mounted 100 watt panel on the roof rack helps replenish the auxiliary power systems while we drive down the road, which means we're more than likely to be back up to 100% when we stop at the next camp. The disadvantage is that we can't reposition it to face the sun for optimal efficiency. And if we choose to camp in the shade, it's unlikely it's going to put much charge into the system. That's where the portable units come into play. These can't be used while traveling down the road, but they can be positioned away from shady areas and rotated throughout the day to track that optimal angle of solar radiation. Selecting a solar panel can be extremely frustrating when you start browsing the massive selection that's currently on the market. Prices for a 100 watt panel can range from $80 to nearly $500 depending on the type of panel. As with anything, you get what you pay for, especially when it comes to solar. We highly recommend staying away from the cheap panels, which are usually made in China. Sometimes a budget dictates the quality level, So if you do have to go with a more inexpensive panel, make sure you go the extra mile to keep it secure and avoid rough usage. We bought this 100-watt Amazon special panel made by All Power for our trailer to help charge its onboard batteries while driving. It fit perfectly between the 23-0 Sydney ladders and did a decent job of helping to charge the circuit from the 4Runner, but after 7 months of use, it completely died. There goes $200. We've also used the thin film panels in the past. We loved how small and lightweight they were, but ultimately their output degraded so fast that after a couple of years, we were barely able to get more than 13 volts out of them. We lost about $500 on that deal because they were still relatively new technology when we purchased them. All that being said, let me show you what we've been using for the past 7 months while being on the road full time. As always, in every review, I'm going to give you full disclosure on the products that we've paid for and which ones were given to us. These panels were given us by Zamp Solar. They haven't asked us to do a review or paid us to make this video. This channel is currently only supported financially by its viewers, and honestly, we like it that way. Before I walk you through all the different panels that we've been using, let me give you a quick profile on the Zamp brand. Now, this company is based out of Bend, Oregon, and is one of the very few manufacturers that make these units in the US with US source components. All these panels use grade A monocrystalline cells and have been treated with an anti-reflective coating to ensure maximum light absorption. All of the Zamp brand panels come with a 25-year output warranty, which is kind of crazy. You just don't see a 25-year warranty on anything these days. Now, first up is this 100-watt Zamp panel that was originally mounted to our Gobi roof rack. We hooked this up to a Zamp 10-amp PWM controller mounted in the rear of the 4Runner and tied it to the auxiliary power system. It did a phenomenal job running the 66-liter dual-zone Snowmaster fridge, 1,000-watt Xantrex inverter for our laptops, radios, and chargers for our phones and tablets while traveling. You also might notice something strange about this one. See the tire track? Well, our new good friends from Australia that we rescued from the Dempster paid us a visit here in Tennessee, and when they arrived in the dark, accidentally drove over it with the front tire of their 1-ton Dodge Ram truck. When I saw what happened the next morning, I just knew it had to have shattered the panel, but here it is, and it's still working just fine.
It did not shatter this at all. The only thing is it put a little bit of a bend in the aluminum frame, but it did not break. Holy cow. Quality, guys.
Think these panels are tough? I think we inadvertently proved that they are. Next is our workhorse, the 120-watt panel. I believe this has been replaced with a 140-watt output panel now of roughly the same size, but either way, this setup meets the needs of 75% of the folks looking to power their standalone adventure rig or trailer. It has an onboard 10-amp PWM controller on a flip-up panel and puts out about 7.6 amps under ideal conditions. It includes 18 feet of cable and also has alligator clips, so you can either plug it into a hardwired SAE connector or clip it to any battery. The construction on this unit is substantial. It's encased in an aircraft-grade aluminum, which is really just a fancy word for tempered 6061 aluminum alloy that is strong enough for a truck, and corrosion resistant. This unit has been outdoors for several months now and has seen its fair share of rain without the first signs of corrosion. And finally, this brand new 90-watt kit, which we were just now getting to play with. This unit is built with the same style construction as the 120-watt and comes with an 8-amp PWM controller built in. This panel is lighter and has a much smaller profile, which is great for small rigs or trailers. The best part about these all-in-one portable kits is that they're ready to go right out of the box. You don't have to buy a panel, controller, crimp sleeves, wire, heat shrink, and build them up yourselves. Just plug them in, clip it to a battery, and you're done. It's pretty simple, and I like keeping it simple. Now, I will say the only downside to this type of panel is their weight and thickness over the cheaper Amazon specials. That's the trade-off for having something that will last for decades, though. Ultimately, you'll have to decide if having a quality panel that's robust and offers the best output for its footprint is worth the difference. The good news is, if you have any issues, you're not going to be out of a few $100s like we were with the cheap panel. Just give the folks at Zamp a call within 25 years of your purchase and get a new one on its way. We've gotten to play with a lot of different panels over the years, and so far the Zamp panels are the best by a long shot. But hey, that's just our opinion. Do your own research and go with the setup that best fits your needs and budget. If it doesn't work for us, we don't keep it, and we certainly don't recommend it. If you want something that's been used hard and tested almost daily, from the Gulf Coast to the Arctic Coast and back again, then we've got a winner right here. Now, we haven't shared pricing in this video because solar panel prices are always changing, usually getting less expensive. So for more info on the Zamp selection and pricing, click on the link in the video description. Now, when you do get your solar panels in, here's a few tips on optimal usage. Always keep your solar panels clean. Actively reposition them to stay perpendicular to the sun. Avoid partial shading, as this can deactivate circuits in some panels. Keep them as cool as possible. Heat creates resistance, which decreases effective voltage. Don't mount solid panels on your vehicle without some way for them to breathe on the backside. Alright guys, I hope this video has helped inform you on the fundamentals of solar charging, and I hope that maybe it's helped point you in the right direction for building a kit for your own vehicle. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Helps boost the video, helps promote the channel. And if you dislike the video, give it 2 thumbs down just for emphasis. If you really like what we're doing, feel free to check us out on patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get access to a lot of bonus content like GPS data and maybe a few secret campsites that we'll share with you. Until next time, safe travels. Wish I drank more water today. Still have a jet. Go away, jet. There's a lot of jets flying over today. Now somebody's shooting. And now we have another airplane. Yes, it is scripted. I know some of you guys are just like, well, this is scripted. Yeah, because I don't have all day to sit here and try to remember all the facts. I gotta like sit down and deliver it in a concise way. Your time's important, my time's important. Although I did spend like 4 or 5 hours writing this script, but it doubles as a blog post, so come on. It's been interesting lately behind the scenes. If you're a patron, you've already seen my update video. I really miss being in Alaska right now. I like the fact that the sun has like disappeared now while I'm talking about solar panels. When I started this, there was sunshine. Now there's not. We've ultimately decided that having one final factor in your solar panel use. What's this? Like, it's encased in an aircraft gate. It's encased in an aircraft gate. We've got to play with a lot of different panels. What's this? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, which pleases the YouTube's algorithm gods and helps promote the video and this channel. If you have any questions, what's this? In an estimated? Yes, master. Estimated.